Well, hello. Happy Friday, I guess. I know I said that we're gonna stream on Thursday, but that didn't happen. I had too much work to do. And work pays the bills, so has a priority.
Well, hello.
Oops, what is that? A little fail, but okay. Hello again. This kind of things throw me off a little bit. How's everybody doing? If you're watching, say hi, say how are you. It's always nice to see who's here. If you haven't watched the previous stream, I started doing a clone UI of an awareness app, and we were coding together. We were using CSS Grid, CSS Variables. What else were we using? SVGs that we kind of like found on the internet. And what else? I think that was all. I think we just like, oh yeah, I was also trying to understand Grid myself and was playing around with CSS Grid Garden. I think that's the name of it. Or maybe it's just Grid Garden. It's a great resource to start kind of like understanding CSS Grid and seeing how it works. Yeah, took a little bit to get my head around it, and there were very great hints in the chat. So if you're still there, then thank you again for those hints. Seriously, game changer. I since then watched a couple of videos about Grid to understand it even better, and I always kind of was coming back to those hints about counting the lines and not the cells. If you know Grid, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then we're gonna figure it out today. Let me show you what we're gonna be building, because it's easy to talk about it, but I should better show you. Yeah, here we go. So, and as always, you don't see my cursor. Yeah, okay. Regardless, this is our little awareness app that we're building. I'm going to show you later how far we've come last time. But the grid that we're going to be building today mainly is in this section that is global stats. And this one is quite, yeah. I mean, with Flexbox, again, I'm always kind of like referring to Flexbox because I've been using it for the past, I don't know, as long as I am a developer, for the past 3-4 years. And it's really my comfort zone using Flexbox. So that's why I'm always comparing it with the Grid stuff. But if you're just starting out, then maybe this reference is not really really clear. But yeah, even now when I'm watching these global stats, then it kind of makes me think like, ooh, let's do it with Flexbox. But no, I think we are still gonna use Flexbox a little bit, because, so in the first stream, in the previous video, I'm gonna link it somewhere down below if you are interested in watching that one first and you're just watching this one. Ooh, hello Erica! Thank you for subscribing! Did you see my cute cat? What was I saying? Oh yeah, so we are gonna be using Flexbox because initially I said that, oh, let's use just CSS Grid and let's not use anything else. It's gonna be like hardcore, only this way and no other way. And I think that's not a correct approach. Like, we did, so you see there is the navbar with the logo and the navigation items. So like the pages, the overview, statistics, symptom, prevention, and so on. And we did that as Grid. While it's kind of like a waste of Grid. I mean, it's not a waste, you can still do it like that, but I just feel that you should use things when they make sense, not because you need to do them. You know what I mean? So it's like this nav bar, it's screaming Flexbox, and you don't need to do like a grid here. Hey tech dude, what's up? Glad to see you here again. And yeah, also this like image, and then on the left side we have the stay home, stay safe. Again, absolute Flexbox. Like I would, yeah. So those are my thoughts around what we have done last time and how we tackled it. And this time I'm gonna be a little bit easier on myself. And I think that we are, I know we are gonna be building with CSS Grid when it comes to the global stats part. Because that one I think is a fun one, and we can actually explore the grid possibilities and things that you can do there. But when it comes to building the further part of, for example, the precautions, I mean, yeah, but also, I don't know. I mean, you could use it as a grid, you could. Or you could also do it as a Flexbox. But then if we think further with responsive, because we want to make our app responsive as well. So you see the 0, 1, and then it's image, and then there is another row, and then there is an image and 0, 2, and they kind of like continue like this. So like if I just look at it, I would say Flexbox, and I would say that each like number and an image has its own div. And then you apply flex to it, so then they're like in one line, and that's it. But if we think about responsive, and we want to maybe, I don't know what we want to show it, probably gonna show like the first, so like the number, and then the image under, the number, image under, like to make it like that. But this is also possible in Flexbox, you know, like with the grid, what you will be doing, you would just probably, I don't even know what we'll be doing because I'm not that strong in grid. But I think that we could make it work. I'm just not sure if it's totally necessary. Yeah, so that's where my head is right now. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, I got a new keyboard, so maybe it's gonna be a little bit louder than before. I finally got my MX keys, and I can switch from devices, and it's a very nice keyboard. So let me show you. Ta-da! It's a great preview of a keyboard. You have seen everything you need from it, but no, believe me, it's really nice. I used to have the, it's called Magic Keyboard, the Apple one, and I also like that one. I like how low it is. I don't like the high keys. I prefer lower keys. But this one is a little bit heavier, but it's still really nice. And it's available also specifically for Mac, which is usually not the case with other keyboards. So yeah, but you can also buy one for, so they have actually 3 options. They have one that is for Mac only, another one that is for, I think, Windows only, and then there is one that is a combined, or maybe they're both combined. Yeah, but there are options. Anyway, that's what I meant. And I'm also excited because finally it has a UK layout, because I'm based in Germany, and all the devices here are obviously coming with native German, unless you specify otherwise. And I don't know if you know, but the German layout, so you know how keyboards are called QWERTY, like the QWERTY? Germans have QWERTZ. It's a Z instead of the Y. So the Y key and the Z key, they are like replaced with each other. And that's not fun. That's not fun. Especially at work when I have my password and one of those keys are suddenly there, and then I need to check if it's German or English or what. So yeah, I prefer the UK layout, and I finally got it. So that's kind of like a small update what I wanted to say. Also, if you're watching this stream now and you didn't know that it's gonna happen today, or you did, basically what I wanted to ask is, how did you know that the stream is gonna happen now? Because I said on my Instagram, that I'm not gonna do it Thursday, I'm gonna do it today, and I'm wondering if that message came across to the people who do want to watch it. And yeah, that's my my main question. So yeah, how about we're gonna start? Let me share the right screen. So I'm gonna remove this one, and I'm gonna show you this one. Yeah, cool. Let me move myself a little bit. I think that should be fine. Cool, so you're ready? Let's start. So this is what we built last time. So for reference, this is what we want to build, and this is what we built so far. I think it's a pretty good progress, considering that I spent probably like 40 minutes playing with CSS Grid. So yeah, let's continue. Where do we start? Oh, right. You know how here we have an image of the map? I went onto Wikipedia. So if you Google for map, SVG, I think, where is Wikipedia? Here. Maps of Germany, no. World map. Is this one? Yeah, so you can download this one or find any other file that you prefer. Or if you're coding not in a live stream, then I'm gonna add it in the assets later on GitHub, which the link to you can find in bio, not in bio, in the description, and you can get it from there. But in general, like any world map, SVG, PNG is gonna work. What is this one? Yeah, so you see something like that. I think that's actually, is it? That's not the one that I'm using, but I like this one. I'll keep it open just in case. Okay, so we're gonna be starting with the global stats thingy because we didn't do it. We need to do it now. So you see the stuff, right? Let me scroll down. So we have our headers, and that section of the website is probably going to be the main section. So we're going to do the main, and for now we're just going to drop all the information we have here. We're just going to hard code it for now just to have it, and then we're going to see how it works, and yeah, figure things once we have something to work with. Okay, so let's go. So we're gonna have global stats. Let's make it as an H2, because remember last time I said that for SEO reasons you should not have several H1s, and we already have an H1 here in the stay home, stay safe. So for SEO, let's do H2. And SEO, if you're not familiar with the term, it means search engine optimization, which is basically what pushes your website to appear in Google results or any other search engine results. And those are one of the rules, or this is one of the rules that Google tells us to adhere to. So, global stats. Then we have the spread of COVID-19 across the world. And that's going to be a P tag. Let me know if you hear my keyboard and if it's annoying. I'll figure something out for next time. Then we have, so we have the top section, which has 3 squares or rectangles. And then we have the sidebar section, which has worldwide and also 3 rectangles. And we have a map. Let's maybe... Okay, let's do it in divs straight away. So let's wrap our H2 and P also in a div. Let's make it all organized, and we're gonna call it stats title. And again, we're not gonna adhere to any methodology when it comes to naming classes, because we're gonna be sitting here all day. But if you're doing that in your own pace, then you could totally go for it. And this, for example, could have been class stats. And then if you want to use BEM, then you can do stats underscore title, and then underscore sidebar, and continue like that to fly. But if you don't want to focus on that right now, then let's just continue. Before naming this class, let's see what we have here. So I'm now doing the part that is directly under the P tag. So the total cases 31 million, recovered, and this. Yeah, pretty devastating statistics. Let's put it also in their own divs. So what was it? Total cases. And then 31 millions. We could also put that in its own thing if you want. Do we want? Yeah, let's put it in H5, the total cases, and the 31M in a P or a span. No, let's put it in a P. PM in paragraph, and not to confuse. And then copy this down, and then the next one is going to be recovered, 30 million, and then another one which is deaths, 413K. Actually, I think we did something, I did something wrong here, that I said that the total cases and recovered and deaths are H5, but I think that's actually the opposite, at least visually. Okay, you know what? Scratch that. We're gonna do everything in a P. We're gonna put it in one P, but the 31 thing is gonna be in a span. So the numbers are gonna be in a span, but the whole thing is gonna be in a paragraph tag. We could also use a break here, as my dear colleague Renee suggested in the previous one. Let's do that. I prefer this. So copy this thing down and replace it. Yeah, it looks better to me. Oops. I don't want to type that. Why did I remove it? I need to copy paste it. And this one is 413. Okay. Alrighty. We got this. Yeah. Okay, let's refresh and see. Yeah, cool. That's what we wanted. Nice. Okay, should we? Let's give it a class. What's gonna be the class? Stats main global, right? Because it's the global statistics. And then we have, oh no, it's not the global, it's local, sorry. Local or region. Because what I think that this design is for is to have like an interactive map where the user can click or hover, probably click on those red dots, and then the statistics up here, you see my cursor, yeah. The statistics up here are going to be updated according to the place where you clicked. And that's why this line and then the name of the country is appearing here. At least that's how I understand it. And then you have the worldwide statistics, which are on the left. Now we said that we're going to do only CSS and HTML. We're not doing any JavaScript here. That's why changing the statistics on a click is not going to happen for us. But we're still going to build like the UI because we're doing a clone UI, right? We're not doing necessarily the whole JavaScript thing. So that's fine for us. But that's just something to keep in mind that if we were to continue with it, probably should be naming it already as the function entails. So let's continue and put this information in as well. And this time we're going to call it, we can copy it down again because it's also 3 rectangles. It's also kind of like same paragraph span thing going on. So copy it, paste it, and we can name it stats. Oops, what did I do? Oh, we can name it stats global or worldwide as you prefer. And let's see if it's the same. Total cases, recovered, and deaths. Yeah. Is it a little bit bigger? Yeah, I think the paragraph tag is a little bit bigger. Hi, Satish. How's it going? Yeah, total cases, 190 millions. Whew. Recovered, 89.6. And deaths is 408. Yeah. Okay. We also have this worldwide thing, but I'm not sure yet how to add it. So I'm gonna skip it for now. But probably we will need to put it there because otherwise it's just confusing, right? If you don't have the worldwide explanation. Can you increase the conf? Yes, yes. Even more. It's not enough. Would it be like this? Is that all right? Or you mean the website? You mean the code or the website? Let me know. Okay. So let's refresh and see what we got. We got all of our statistics. And is that VS Code? Yes, Amit, it's VS Code. Satish, I made it larger. I cannot make it even bigger because otherwise it's gonna explode in my screen. Do you mean the website or the Visual Studio Code? The IDE or the result? Hi, Leonis. How are you? Okay, so we got our information here now. And what else? I need to make it a little bit smaller, this one, because I cannot read it. It's too large. But I assume, Satish, that you're referring to this website. Let me know. What did I want to do? So let's check. I'm having small screen. But was the font better, the one that I put previously, or I didn't make a change? So are you using Bootstrap or creating custom classes? Yeah, in this one I'm creating custom classes. I usually use Bootstrap, but I decided to play around with Grid and CSS Variables and kind of like do it all by ourselves. So in the previous code along, or in the previous part of this challenge, not challenge, why did I say challenge? I said challenge because I have the Ultimate API challenge, but that's not the challenge. This is a clone UI. And in the previous recording, we added those CSS variables and we define everything here by ourselves. It's a very like non-sophisticated thing, very easygoing, just like working with displays, working with stuff, and then just figuring things out. So feel free to join. Chandra is asking a side. Okay, cool, nice. Chandra was a side. What do you mean by a side? I watched your Netflix clone video and it's awesome, and YouTube too. Yay! Nice, thank you. I'm very happy to hear that it's receiving a good positive review and that it's nice. Thank you. Okay, shall we continue? Or Chandra, there is also a question about aside. I still didn't answer that. Do you mean a tag aside, or what do you mean? Okay, I'm gonna continue in the meanwhile. So what we have added so far was, let me show you. The new joiners, if you didn't see, we're building this part today. I mean, we're building the whole UI, but right now we're doing this one. So we added this part and we added this part. Now let's add the map. And the map I already added in my assets. That's how it looks like. Very, very nothing special map. Just be sure that it's a PNG, because then you don't have the background. So you see like this checkered background. This means that it has no color there. And whenever you're going to put it on your website, it's going to have the color of the element that you have. So be sure to pay attention to that. You're my sensei in front end. Well, I think I am still not that big of a pro to be the sensei, but thanks. I'll take that compliment. So let's add the map. If you don't have the map yet and you are coding along, then go to Wikipedia or just Google and Google world map something PNG and download that file. If you're struggling with that, let me know, so maybe I can drop the assets somewhere. Okay. So let me close those sections. The stats global, I'm also going to close this one. We have the stats global, we have the stats region, we have the stats title, and now we're going to have a div of... Oh, by the way, the ones who are using Visual Studio Code, look, I'm going to show you a thing. Stats map. So I write .stats dash map, which is going to be my class, and I press on tab, and voila, it creates a div, and it's a thing called emmet. If you didn't know that, it's really cool. I'm not usually using it for that, but if, for example, I write P and I also put the tag, then it's going to autocomplete things. It's very helpful, and it has like way more stuff to do. For example, I think if you want, I'm not going to go into details now, but if I do P and then I do this angle bracket span, and then I click on tab, then it's going to create a paragraph, and inside it's going to create a span. There are way more options what to use Emmet for, but check it out. It's really helpful. So I wanted to put here an image, and since I always suck at importing images, I'm just going to copy the one that we have before, so this one, and I'm going to put it here, and this one is going to be map.png. And now if we refresh the page, you think we're going to see it? Yay, we do. I'm a beginner level, and YouTube video helped me a lot. Yeah, I can imagine. The global stats or the other stats. Yeah, that's true. So like the stats region, we could do aside, right? Let's do that. Aside. I mean, like, I think I mentioned that already, but I was a little bit confused with those. Like, I understand the header, I understand the nav, I understand the footer, but when it comes to like aside, article, and this kind of things, then it's kind of like, it feels like it's more appropriate to be used on websites that are like blogs or news, because then the structure is kind of like calling for these tags. But when it's a website with kind of like freestyling, then I sometimes find it confusing, or at least I don't want to create something that then screen readers are not going to be able to interpret correctly. So I guess that's why I've been avoiding them. But if you say aside, why don't we do that? Let's go for it. Sadish is saying, but struggling to learn JavaScript. How you will do a JavaScript tutorial later? Yeah, I do plan on doing JavaScript because, believe it or not, I'm better in JavaScript than in CSS. So kind of like this CSS Grid part is also for me to kind of like have fun with it and learn it. And actually maybe just like show other people that even as an experienced developer, you can still struggle with freaking CSS. But yeah, JavaScript I would definitely enjoy doing because I know it much more. Or not much more, I guess I'm like more comfortable with it, and there is like so much fun and so many things that you can do with it. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing JavaScript, React, Vue, and this kind of stuff. Not vanilla JavaScript I have in the API challenge. By the way, well, maybe it's too early for you if you're still struggling with JavaScript. But I've created a thing called the Ultimate API Challenge, where you can learn how to work with APIs and how to call data, get data, kind of like prepare data for the UI. So all the data that here we're working with, it's not really data, right? It's just like hard-coded thing. But in real life world, you would have an API, which is basically a thing that stores all your data. Or no, the API is like something that you communicate with. Anyway, it doesn't matter right now. Just know that there is a challenge like that. Just call it challenge for the fun of it. And if you're searching for something to kind of like, I don't know, have fun with JavaScript and APIs, then check that one out. It's like the levels are different there, but if you start from the first one, it's beginner friendly. And it goes to React, to Vue, GraphQL, REST API, and all of that. But if those terms don't make sense to you, then let's continue with the clone UI and then maybe do another tutorial with JavaScript, React, and stuff. And let me know if you have started learning any of those and which one you prefer. Or if you're just like freelancing. Freelancing? Freestyling. That's the word. Quinton. Love the API challenge. Thank you so much for that resource. Whoa, yay! Thank you so much for checking it. I always like really appreciate people checking this challenge out because a lot of work went into it and a lot of good intentions in really helping you out, getting to know APIs and working with them, because I really wasn't prepared to work with APIs when I first landed my first job, even though as a web developer, I think like one of your biggest tasks is going to be working with APIs and with data that you're receiving. So yeah. Amit, let's start with React or Angular. Angular is not going to happen. I have never worked with Angular, and isn't it dying anyway? I mean, they said that about jQuery as well. But as far as I know, so Google, I think, right, created Angular. And they said that they're not going to support it anymore. No, support is not the right word. They're not going to... I think they're just not going to continue in updating it. So it's just like as it is, and that's it. So let's do React then. And Satish is saying JavaScript. Yeah. I mean, maybe we could start with like a tiny JavaScript something and then move to React. Because also like doing vanilla JavaScript applications that are quite big, it's very tedious, and I would not recommend it because frameworks exist for a reason. But I also understand that you would not want to jump on a framework before understanding a little bit of JavaScript, which is totally understandable and also recommended not to do. So I get that. Chandra, but don't you put nav in a side for mobile? You mean so like when it's collapsed, then there's like a burger menu that you click on it, and then there is like this side thing? Yeah, maybe you're right. But I think from like all the examples that I saw on the web initially when learning HTML, then there was like this it's not a graph, but it's like illustration of how these tags look like, and aside is really aside and the nav is a nav. So I'm not sure. I don't know. Quinton says, you did a really good job at solidifying some things as well as making me feel more comfortable with APIs. Yay! You're crushing it and it's appreciated. Thank you so much. It's the biggest compliment for me, seriously. If I made you more comfortable with APIs, thank you. That's my day is done here. So yeah. Thank you so much for checking it, Quinton, and for letting me know. Okay, want to continue with the clone UI before I get distracted again? If you're gonna like, you can continue chatting, but it's like I'm gonna continue chatting too. Which I always appreciate that you are chatting here, but just like I also need to control myself, I guess. Okay, so where were we? We did this aside. Although you know what? Chandra, let's maybe do it as a div first for now and see how we put it later on with our CSS. So then we can decide if it's like if it's worth to put it in a side or not. Okay? Okay. All right. So this is what we have, and this is how it should look like. It doesn't look quite the same, does it? So what we're going to do now is let's first maybe style this a little bit, the global stats thing. Where is it? I'm searching for our H1 because our H1 looks quite nice. And I want to have it also like that. Which styling did we put in our H1? So we had a subheading here. And it has a color and a margin bottom. But wait a second. Here it is. We also have the font family and the font size. Let's maybe copy this. And we're gonna write, what's the name of our class? Do we have any class here? Stats title. That's it, right? This one, yeah. So let's do .stats title. Save it, refresh. Oh, that's too big. So we want to change only the H2 that we have there. So save that. Yeah, and it's a little bit too big. Let's do it maybe 2. No, 2. Yeah, nice. I think that's nice. And then we have the p tag. I feel like you're making fun of me when or like laughing at me when I say the p tag. I mean the paragraph tag. And let's make it the same as this part, which is our description. Also, you see that I'm combining here or mixing the classes and tags. And in real project, you would probably be more consistent than that, because also there is a chance that you will be overwriting too much of things and you don't want to do that. So but for now, like, we're focusing here on actually making the clone UIs look alike and learning grid and learning CSS variables, or like CSS variables is more like an afterthought. But okay, like if you're doing this, it's not best practices, I can tell you that. I can go through it later, we can refactor it, but for now, in order to make things work, we're just gonna continue with it and make it like that. So what are we gonna do next? Let's remove maybe the margin here, because I think the margin is the same. Okay, let's maybe... Also, if suddenly my head is hovering over the code, let me know. Be like, Daniela, what are you doing? I don't see anything. And now we want to also put the stats title in the center. So text align center. Save it. Yay! Nice. Looks better, right? Looking kind of close. I also think that this piece smaller. Is it though? If we do font size 0.8 rem. Yeah, I'm also using REMs here because I think it's more accessible, or more... I don't know if accessible is the right word, but it's more thinking about people who might have different fonts in their settings of their browser, and then kind of like your website. If, let's say, so 1 rem is usually default of 16 pixels. And if somebody has their browser set to maybe 25 pixels, then your REM is going to grow accordingly, which is nice, because then, first of all, you're helping people see the website. And second of all, your layout is most likely not going to break too much if you keep the relative size. Yeah, I think so. I never tried it, but that's what I'm reading about in the internet. In the internets. Now comes the fun part. So let me open the inspector. So how do we want to do that? Do we want to work in the inspector and then apply it to our CSS? Because I think if we work in the inspector, then it's going to give us more overview, and we don't need to like type refresh, because it's not like I have a script here and I don't know what we're going to be doing. So it's not like I'm like, okay, now we're going to write this and now we're going to write that and now it's going to work. No, sadly, no. Or maybe not sadly, but that's just not how I prepared this one. So what I do know is that our whole div... Okay, so if you're coding along, don't code right now, just watch. So story time. Let's work with grid. We have our main thing. Let's open the index HTML. Our main thing, our main tag, is where we hold all the information about the stats, right? So this body here, that's one. We're gonna assign to it a display grid. Sounds good, cool. We're gonna apply to it the display grid, and then what are we gonna do then? Actually not. I don't want to apply. You know what? I'm gonna put the main here because I think that the stats title can be independent from that. So we have two options, or we're gonna put the main here below, or let me show you, or we can just create another div here where we're gonna wrap all the rest of the stuff. I don't want to create another div, so I'm just gonna move it up. Yeah. Okay, so now when we select main, we have actually only the statistics part about it in it. We don't need to like worry about the title, because we don't also need to kind of like align the title with grid, because we already aligned it with text align center, and that's enough. So anyway, let's bring it back. Display grid is going to be here, and then so I think if you use in Firefox, there is like even more options when you work with grid, but in Chrome, which is what I'm using, I can select grid, not select, I'll just like, or maybe it is select, whatever. I click on this grid thingy that appears after I put display grid, and I see more clear what's the grid, how the grid looks like, which is nice. And it also gives you like this 1 and 2 and -1 and 2, which are the lines when you want to work with grid. So yeah. And while I was searching about grid and how we could make this thing work, I came across a thing called template areas. And I think the only time when I worked with grid, I worked once with this one, or maybe not. No, that's not true. But what I want to say is that it's quite a cool thing, and we're gonna do that. So I think it's called grid template areas. Yeah. And the way you use it is you actually name the areas of your grid. And if we, how to show it better? Okay, so if we look at this one, imagine that this is our main, right? This whole thing is our main tag. And here we have one part, then we have another part, and then we have the third part. So we could potentially name this part like sidebar. This one, it's not title, but maybe regional. Or actually, let's name them as we name the stats, right? Worldwide, regional, and map. Let's do that. So something to keep in mind is that, no, I'm gonna show you, because otherwise I'm gonna confuse you. Grid template areas, and we said that we're gonna name it global, right? Global, and then we have region. Look at this, look at this. And you put it in a string, and then you go, which defines your row, and then you open again a string and you write again global and then map, and you close the string. So you see what this represents? We basically created 2 rows with 2 columns where we named our areas as the things that we're going to display in them. So if I click on enter, and now I want the map, for example, to appear in here, right? Because that's my point. Like on the top part, we're gonna have only the regional cases. Then on the left side, we're gonna have the sidebar fully, so like the global ones. And then on the tiny one on the right is supposed to be the map. So right now, maybe it's a little bit hard to envision it because our like proportions are a little bit off, but let me show you. So we have, so it's not going to be here. We need to open it, and let's go to map, and we need to write grid area map. You see, it straight away went to the area that we named before, to the map. So if you see here, you see the global region, global map. So the map is on our right bottom corner, and that's where it went. That's pretty awesome. And I think if you have like a more complex grid, then you can really like make it work even better. Or if, for example, you would name these ones like their own things, I don't know, regional total, regional recovered, regional blah, and then global this, then you could play even more with that. Although that might be like too decoupling, so I'm not sure. I think as with everything, you should just like play around with it and see if it works for you or not, or if it's too much. Because also just like overdoing something for the sake of overdoing is probably not ideal. Okay, so before we lose it, let's put it in our CSS, and now we can code together. So we had our main, which we didn't declare a style to it, a class. Let's write class. It's going to be stats, and then the index, then the style is going to have .stats, which we're probably going to put on the top, right, because it's the main one. Not that we're adhering to any structure here, but just in case. Display grid, and then grid template areas is gonna be global region, and then you put here, I don't know how strict they are with the spacing, probably not too strict, but I think it's nicer to read it if you also adhere to the spacing of it. You know what I mean? So like to these white spacing here. And then what do we want to do? That was all. And then we had a thing for our map. So save this. And then if we go to our index.html, did we name our, yeah, we have stats map, stats global, and stats region. So we're going to be using those now here. So we're going to dot stats map, no, region was first. Like this. Stats global, and then stats map, or map. I don't know. And in here, we need to define the grid area, which in our case, the region was, what? Was region. Oops. And then the global was global. And this one was map. Why is my region having another color? Is that a reserved word? Is that gonna give us issues? Save both of them and let's refresh. Ooh. Look at that, that worked. It might look like it didn't work, but I think it did. It's just that, so this part needs to go here, but it didn't. Or at least visually. I think it did because it's just, yeah. So if I select it, you can see that it's the whole column. but you cannot see it necessarily because there's not enough content. So let me show you what I mean. Global. If I just like copy, paste more stuff and I refresh it, then you see it's now here. It has filled all the space here. You see what I mean? So I'm gonna put it back. Yeah. So now we would need to push this part to the right and this part to the bottom. And last time I didn't know that CSS Grid is also offering you these things of alignment. And after that, it kind of became, it went higher in my priority list of things to use on websites once I learned that it does have this thing. So for example, the region, and okay, let's do it again in the inspector because I'm not 100% sure about the naming of those things. So stats region needs to go to the right, and I think it needs to be align items and do I need to also do a display grid? Okay. No, maybe it's justify items. What? Okay, we have display grid and then justify items. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Do we need the display grid? Yeah, we do. Okay. I mean, it makes sense because you need to have, otherwise justify items doesn't work by itself, right? So let's go to our stats region and define display grid as well as justify items and then, oh, so I think the justify items are like horizontal alignment and the align items are vertical alignment. So following that logic, which I don't know if it's true or not, let's copy the display grid and the justify items to the global stats, but instead of justify items, we're gonna write align items, and that should work. I mean, it did kind of. Why does it have it like huge stuff? Why does it like stretch it? Hi Raju, what's up? So we have the end, but so the end is correct, but our height of our divs is for some reason weird. Why is that? I don't want my divs to be like, oh. So the div itself, you see, the div itself is small. It's only 70 pixels high. Then why is this like that? Wait, let's Google that. CSS Grid cheat sheet. Anybody has ideas? So the align is somewhere here below. Where is it? So justify items. Wait. So justify items aligns grid items along the inline row axis. Yeah, that's what we did, right? Yeah, we have our justify items on the stats region, and then we have our stats. Yeah, okay. Right. And then, so we have the start, the end, the center, and the stretch. Fills the whole width of the cell. This is the default. Okay. This behavior can also be set on individual grid items via the justify self property. Maybe that's what we need. So aligns grid items along the block column axis as opposed to justify items. Okay, so my logic was right there. I didn't, yeah, you know what I mean. Examples, start, end, center, stretch. Okay, so I have two ideas. First is maybe that's actually how grid works and we're actually getting what we need. The only issue is that we're putting 3 divs here and it does justify it till the end, but the grid itself is spreading the spaces equally or evenly between each other. Or we need to do, what was it, align self. Let's try align self at the end. Yeah, that's what we needed. Okay. I'm having some error with live servers. Can you help me with that? Satish, we're not using, if you're doing this coding challenge or clone UI, we're not doing any live server. You only need to open your index HTML file. So maybe it's something else you have running? Okay, do I still need the display grid here? What was it? Stats global. Yeah, I don't need the display grid. Yoo-hoo! Nice. All right. Now about the stats region. So this thing is gonna go up later on. Once we give it styling, we're gonna give it padding, width, and all of that stuff. So it's gonna be fine. But like mainly, it needs to be to the bottom, right? Now these bodies, they're a little bit weird. Maybe we also need to do the justify self here. Let's try. Save. Okay, and if I remove the grid, did it do much? No. However, here, I think that I think we should use flex here, honestly. Because we need like, yeah, you see, we need like 3 items that are gonna be in one row. And what's better than flex, right? So it might be a little bit confusing because we are having grid area justify self, which is of a grid property, and then we're adding a display flex. But to kind of like clear some things out, we have our main our main tag, which is the stats, and that one has a display grid. So it makes this whole part of the website a grid element. And then it has 3 children: the global stats here, the regional stats here, and the map. Those 3 children are taking the property of the grid and taking the area to which we assign them to. But then each child, so each div, can have their own properties. It can be a grid, it can be a flex, it can be whatever you want. So it's not like you define on a top level that it's grid and then your whole elements are grid. That's not the case. You can do that if you wanted, but you don't have to have it. Raju, I have a problem with live server. Which live server are you both talking about? What did we do? We're not running any live server right now. Or do you mean the YouTube video? Let me know if you're hearing me clear and seeing me clear, or if there is an issue. For now, so we did the flex. I hope the thing that I was explaining about children and parents and their properties is like it makes sense. In Visual Code Studio Code, Raju, I think it's quite hard for me to like see what's going on right now. No, VS Code Live server extension. You don't need the live server extension for this moment, and I'm not sure how I can help with that one right now. So if it's for the code along, just open the HTML in another tab, like in a browser tab, and not in Visual Studio Code. Makes sense. Cool. So now that we have that, we have a lot of like information here, and sometimes it's hard to understand which, like you see, once I hover on the main, I do see the dotted line that is the grid, but I don't see it for these ones. And when I usually build a website, I like to give them borders, so then you kind of understand better how your things work and which properties you give them and how they work together. So let's do that. And we're gonna do it by, so this is just a temporary class, so we're gonna be removing them later on, but I mean not the class, the styling. So it's gonna be stats region, and you're gonna do this, which will mean every direct div that you find in the stats region, apply this styling that we're gonna be given to it. But we don't want only the stats region, we also want the stats global. And don't forget the dot. And then stats map, again, dot Daniela, and div. And in here we're gonna make border 1 pixel solid. Let's do yellow. And now if we refresh, yay, look what we have. Why does the map, oh, the map doesn't have a div, it has an image. Okay, so here's what we're working with. This is especially helpful if, so like one thing is building a website, and another thing is actually aligning the website and making it per, maybe not necessarily per the design, but it needs to make sense when it comes to alignment and the beauties and the details. So if we look at the map, you see that without the border, it looks quite fine. But now with the border, we see that it's actually missing here some space. And as well as here, it's a little bit off. And you would argue that it's not noticeable, but I think that you can get along with it and like not do anything with that. Get away with it, that was the word. But in general, if you have some mismatches at one point, there is a very, very high chance that those mismatches are going to continue happening. So I would not skip it. I would still try to make it as precise as possible. within a reasonable amount, of course. Like if you have tried and something is like very, very, very not working with you together, then that's fine. At least you tried, but you should try. So I think our map should also have an align self to the end. Let's see. Actually, it doesn't do anything. I know. The image in the map should have the align self, right? If we save it, huh? Why it doesn't do this? Oh, it's justify self, sorry. I like those moments when I'm like, oh, it's this and this, and it still doesn't work. Yay, now it works. Okay, so scratch that. It just needs to be stats map, and it needs to have a justify self, because justify is horizontal and align is vertical. And now you see, now it is kind of aligned. Wait, what if we do align self? Is it gonna align our bottom parts as well? No, it's not. Why doesn't it align the bottom parts? Is that the image that we need to align? It's pure guessing right now. You see, there is this like little tiny space here. But okay, I don't wanna think about it now. You see, we tried, didn't really work. Let's roll with it for now and see if that comes up later. But in general, our main, if you see it, it's okay. And it's probably like what, 1 pixel? No, like 2 pixels. I can live with that. So now let's do this part. So let's check how it looks like. The cheat sheet, let's keep it open for now. And then here we have, so is it like, yeah, it's rounded a little bit, right? So first of all, the color is much more dark than the background. And these are bold. Okay. And then also the widths of them. Let's try to match the widths first. That's too much. Like 150 maybe? 175? Yeah, I think 175 is all right. So we're gonna go to our stats region. And we're gonna do dot stats region. And again, direct divs. Why do I do the direct divs is that if we have, for example, a div inside of our div, which we love, then it's not going to affect those. We just want the direct div to be affected. So only the parent and the child, not the grandchildren or whoever they are. Okay? 175 pixels. Save it. And now we have all of them. Do you think it's too small? No, it's okay, but it has a space from here. But I think this space comes from a general space on the website. Let's try and do that. Our body needs to have, can we do a margin on the body? Yeah, probably, right? We can have like 1 rem auto. No, 0 auto. No, What am I doing? So top, I don't want anything. And then this one, I want to have one rem. So the 0 represents the top and the bottom, and the 1 rem represents the left and the right. And let's see if I messed it up completely now. Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. Should we do like a 2 rem, so everywhere? So we're gonna have also in our navigation at top. Yeah, I think that one looks nice now. Has some space and air. Yeah, I think I like that. Maybe this is too much space, but I'll leave it to you to decide for your website. For me, it looks fine. So we have the spacing now here, and now let's compare again the size. I think it looks fine. Or you want to do maybe 100, where was it? Here, 185. Because where does it end? It's ending right like where the ends. So yeah, kind of like us, maybe 180 pixels instead of 185. Oops. No, I like the 185. Yeah. Cool. I think this one looks nice. As much as it can look nice. These ones are a little bit squished. We're going to work with that as well. Let's make this first darker, the background. So we have a background color in our CSS variables. We're going to copy that. If you don't have it, then create a colon root and then apply -- background color with the value 1F, 1F, 1F. And that's going to be our background color. Also, last time I explained where I took these ones. I created, well, obviously I took it from here, but I created kind of like a color palette in Figma, and I put them all together so I could see in advance if the colors make sense or not. So that's where I got those from, if you're interested to know. And then we have our here, our stats region. We wanted to have a background color, and we're going to be using the variable. So we write var, and then we paste our -- background color there. And now it should. Huh? Oh no, it's the same as our background color in the body. Well, let's just make it black then. I was going sophisticated with the variables, but oh, whoopsie. That's too dark. I don't like that. That's another thing, right? We already talked about it, that you should not be using like black or white. You should use off black and off white. So this, I like 10, 10, 10. Let's maybe stick it in a variable. Background color secondary, why not? We already have this value here. Below we have accent color and accent color secondary. Yeah, that's our main stuff, like naming convention. So let's continue using that. So instead of the black, we're gonna put var, background color secondary. All right, and if we remove the borders for a second, yeah, I think it's a nice color, right? What do you think? Let's put it back. Then what else do we have? We have a little gap between them, so let's maybe add okay, let's add margin right. Let's put 0.5 rem, like a very tiny one, just like for a little bit. Yeah, even that is probably too big. Let's do 25. Cool. And then we also saw that these ones, so the first child and the last child, has rounded corners at their end. And I just did it at work as well in one feature. So I'm supposed to like be a little bit fresh on how to make it. Let's test it if I can actually do it properly. So what we will be doing is it's going to be stats region. We select our direct div, and then we want to specify that it needs to be our first child. And that one is going to have border top left radius is going to have the same radius as we had for this one, I think. What was our radius there? I think it was 15 pixels. Yeah, 15 pixels. Let's try with 15 pixels first. I think it's a little bit bigger. 30? 25? Yeah, so because it's like already getting too big, let's maybe also use REMs here. What about 1 REM? Not bad. And then border bottom left radius is gonna be like this as well. Is it? Yeah, I think it looks fine. If the contrast doesn't make, I don't know if you can like see through the screen. I hope what I'm saying makes sense, that I'm not inventing that there is a radius there. And then we also need it for the last child, and you can guess it. It's last child. And if we save it, whoopsie, this one is gonna be right and not left. Right. Yep, there we go. Another thing is that, so we defined, on every div, we define the width and we define a background color, but we also defined a margin right, which is not entirely correct because we want to have just a margin between the two elements. So like just here and just here. But what it did, it actually added a margin here as well. You see this orange part? That's a margin. So we need to remove that. And luckily, because we're already targeting the last child, we can remove it by saying margin left. Is it left? No, it's margin right. It's going to be 0. And now you're going to see that this line needs to align with this line. Yep, that's what I wanted. Cool. So now we have this part. And what else? Let's do maybe the font. Or first, let's align it. So in this generic one, we would also need to align text align center. Hiding this option from me. Yeah. Let me put it a little bit on the same level. Okay. And now, so our p tag, remember that in our index HTML, we had, where's our stats region? We had our p tag and a span. So it's gonna be a little bit of overriding, but it's okay. Like you might also do it as a 1p here, and here like an h5 like we did in the beginning. Or you can do it like this. Again, the beauty of CSS and HTML encoding in general, that there are probably multiple options how to achieve one thing or another. So we're really not picky about it. But let's go with this one. So we said that, first of all, this total cases recovered and this needs to be a little bit thinner, just like this font weight. So we're gonna do Right, so I said that we're going to be overriding, but maybe we're not going to be overriding. We're just going to do .stats region. And we're going to do a P. I know, yeah, we're going to be overriding because the span is inside of the P. It's fine. So the font weight, you see what I'm typing, is going to be 100. And now it's going to apply to all of it. Yeah. However, what we want to do is we want the span here, span, to be font weight, so regular. Yeah, that's not how things work. 400. And if I save it, then it's a little bit thicker. But I think we want it even more. Right? Yeah, for sure. So first of all, I think the P is going to be smaller. Let's do font size. What was it? We already used like a small font size or a smaller one. It was 0.9 rem. Yeah. And you see how we have here a styling that is the same as here. So in this case, it's like, maybe we can just combine the two. But I wouldn't do it yet because we still don't know how we're gonna style it. So this is something that you can do later on once you refactor in things. So we have our total cases. We have, so we need to make this bigger. Font size. Let's do 2 rem. Is it gonna be too big? Yeah, a little bit too much, isn't it? 1.25. Okay, that's not bad. But I do want to have it thicker. And the issue is why we cannot have it thicker just out of the box is because remember, I actually downloaded the fonts. So we're using, in this case, a font called Roboto, and our font weight, we're telling Google to download only the 100 and 400. But let's go to the browser. If I go to Google Fonts and I go to Roboto, there we go. Here are the styles that Roboto offers. And I think like a 700 would be fine. So since we already have everything here defined, we can just put a semicolon here and write 700. And that's how you extend the Google fonts that you have downloaded. And then we go to our style.css and we can write that the span needs to be of a weight 700. So you see, like those two weights that we defined, they are, that's how they go together. Yeah, that's nice. That's much nicer. Where is the Dribble? Here is the Dribble. The font is a little bit different. That's why it's going to look a little bit, I mean, it's not going to be like pixel by pixel perfect, but I think it looks quite okay. What do you say? Do you want to remove maybe the orange, the yellow thing? Let's remove the stats region. Ooh, look at this. I really like it. Nice. The map is a little bit too big, and I think we're gonna tackle it now because in order to work with these ones, we would need the map to be smaller. So let's go to stats, map, and image, copy it or just write it yourself. Depends on how lazy you are. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to typing. I don't know, it's like one of the biggest cliches, right, as a developer. Satish says, okay. Do you mean that it looks okay? Doesn't look fabulous, it looks just okay. I expected more. Okay, what did I want to do? So I wanted to make the image a little bit smaller, and I wanted to define a width or a max width, and I'll tell you in a bit why max width, because I want to see if that works or not. I want the max width to be 70. And I also want this thing to justify self and. Didn't we do that already? Ugh, didn't we? Stats map is end. Why is it not appearing in end? So here is our whole stats map. It has a justify self end, but why it doesn't do that? Now I'm just gonna like write everything just for things to work. Yeah, those are. It looks kawaii. Kawaii is cute, right? I'm not sure. Justify self. Why you're not moving? Display contents. Yes. What is display contents? This is new. Display CSS property sets. Yeah, this I know. But what is content? These elements don't produce a specific box by themselves. They are replaced by their pseudo box in their child. I don't understand. Yeah, display contents. Current implementations in most browsers will remove from the accessibility tree. Oh, any element with a display value of contents, but descendants will remain. This will cause the element itself to no longer be announced by screen reading technology. This is incorrect behavior according to CSS specification. Yeah, that's not what we want. But interesting. And okay, so probably because it removes itself from the DOM, then that's why it's aligned. Doesn't make sense. Okay, so display contents didn't work. What I want to do a display flex and justify content. Flex end. See how easy it is. You just write display flex and justify content flex end and it all works. Why would I use grid? Why? Are we okay with this solution or we want to continue trying out with grid? You know what? Let's copy this solution just in case. And if things don't work, then we're gonna use that. But for now, I promised you grid and I'm gonna try and deliver grid. So let's try. Why grid doesn't work here? Let me stretch my legs. Ugh. So we have this div, which has justify self and, but maybe we need to do justify items and. Nope. Flexbox, yeah. Flexbox is the best. Align items. Okay, now I'm just gonna try everything until something works. That's how I do when I don't understand things. So what does justify and actually do here? Oh, it did move it a little bit. Huh? Okay, what if we do display grid? and then do justify self and justify items, and why does it work? Justifies the horizontal things, right? The align items has no here. Huh? Do we need to go back to our cheat sheet? So I want the item to be aligned to the end of it. This is what I want. Justify items end. Maybe it has like a special case with images? Can that be the case? I don't know if you can hear the music. It should calm me down a little bit. So, oh, what is this place items? This is new. Wait a second. Place items set both the align items and justify items properties. Ooh, this is nice. Is that gonna work for us? Probably not. Wait, we want to use the end here. Nothing works. What? Huh? Is it because of this max width thing? Oh my god, I just got scared. Who subscribed? Somebody subscribed. I'm sorry I don't see who subscribed, but thank you. That woke me up. So. Do we want to Stack Overflow things? I don't even know what to search for. Why my image is not aligned? Okay, I'm gonna give it another 2 minutes to figure out why, but if not, then we're just gonna go with Flexbox. Because, so place items didn't work here. Map. So as soon as we gave it a max width, what if we give it just a width? Does it play any role here? No, it doesn't. So that's funny. But yeah, basically as soon as we gave it a width, then it kind of like went back to where all elements start, top left corner. But it doesn't do this thing. But do we need to, we tried, right? The justify items and to put it in the end. It didn't work. And the align items neither. Screw it. You don't want to work with me? I'm gonna put you flex. That's it. What? Excuse me? Yeah. I was shocked for a second there. So you don't need to put it on the image, you need to put it on the div, because the div is going to tell the image to move somewhere. And now I think that our image is a little bit too small. What if we do like 80%? Oh, right. I also told you that I'm going to explain to you why we did the max width and not the width, and also in percentage. So if we're going to have... So we are going to have responsive, right? And because we're having responsive, we don't want to specify set pixels that are big values. So for example, you would not want to go and declare an image that is like 300, not 300, like 700 pixels, because that's like very restrictive and very limiting. Plus, you want your image to be able to shrink. Like, not all of our elements are shrinking now, but you want it to shrink according to the container that it has. And that's what this percentage enables, and the max width together. So if you would just put it the width, it would also, I think, go bigger and smaller. Would it? No, I don't think it would. So I think the max width is actually saying like, okay, you do whatever you want, but your maximum is 80%. Like, even if you can go bigger. But if you're gonna go smaller, then you can go smaller, I think. No, I don't remember, but I do prefer to use the max width because it's kind of like easier, I think. So what else do we have? I think we need to put like some space here. Let's open this. Yeah, let's give it like a margin bottom of, so which are we? We're in stats region, the main one, and we can give it a margin bottom of 0.5 rem as well. Yeah, I think that one's nice. Okay, let's work on this part. Let me make it a little bit bigger so it's nicer. And actually, like, I think most of the classes are gonna be applying the same way as they apply here, right? If we check this, like most of the classes, I mean, the background and this thing, but this is bigger. No, okay, it's not the same. We will refactor it later. So stats region, stats global, that's where we at. So let's just copy the background color and text align and the width. I think that one's fine. So again, whoops. We go to, or we write stats, stats global and the div, and what am I doing here? Text align center, width 185 pixels, and background color of the 10-10-10. I think this one is bigger. The height of it is bigger for sure. So we could or specify like a set height, or what sometimes I also like to do is, you see that the P has already a margin. You could give it also a padding, maybe not to the P, actually to the div, which whatever I said now probably has confused you. So let me show you. You can just do padding, and we're going to do the top and the bottom is going to be, let's say, 0.5 rem, and then the right and the left is going to be 0, because we don't want to affect it. We have it centered anyway. And this way, by defining that, you gave a little bit of more space here. You see there's like a green area? That's the padding. And let me show you where I see it as well. Not lighthouse. Just want to make it bigger. Oops, sorry. So here we have the div, and if we, in our inspector, you select the div, and then you click on compute it, then you can see that now we have a padding of 8, a border of 1, and that's basically our stats for this div. If you want to see the p tag, you will see that it has a margin of 16, because that's just the default, I think. Or did we give it? No, we didn't give anything. That's the default. The padding, the P has a margin of 16, top and bottom, apparently. I know that it has a margin, but I didn't know how much. Maybe it's also 16 is also, remember, is the default for 1 rem, so maybe it's related, but I'm not sure. Okay. What now? margin bottom, because, or let's do a margin top. So margin top, we're gonna do, how much did we do? 0.25 in the previous one. Save. Yeah, and if we remove the border, so stats global, we don't need the border. I think they're a little bit bigger. Okay, so first let's work with the font, because I think now it's a little bit hard to understand if we're doing it right or not. So we said that our total cases, I think these ones are also going to be applying to us here. So instead of writing them again, let's do this. You can just, wherever we wrote the stats region P, you can do a comma and paste stats global P, and voila, we don't need to write it twice. Stats global span, and we save it, and now hopefully those stylings are going to apply now to us as well. Yep, there we go. The only thing that I do want to change is our stats global, so only the stats global, not the stats regional. Stats global P, I wanted to have a little bit more of a margin bottom. So the margin bottom is gonna be, so it's 16 pixels now, which means it's 1 rem. We can make it 1.5 rem. Oh, actually that's not true, because yeah, no, we want the span. I forgot that we have a span there. I for some reason was thinking that our total cases and the number are two separate p tags, which also doesn't make sense. Margin top of the span. Is it because what? Is there a spelling mistake? No. Stats global span is because of the break. Do we need to give the break a height? No, that's weird. Did you ever give a break a height? I never did that. Yeah, that also doesn't work. How would we do that? Is that not the name of our thing? Yes, it is. Stats region, stats global. We have a P, a break, and a span. Do I need to give it a padding too? Huh? Oh wait, is it because it has a break that it doesn't work? Okay, so we're gonna need to change some things. So because the span has a break on top of it, it ignores it. So you see, if I'm hovering on the span, you see that it does have a padding, but probably because of the break between the padding, so between the span and the p tag, it doesn't apply it. So what we are going to do is we're going to go to our index.html, and in the stats global, we're going to remove all the breaks we have. You see, it's gonna, removing the break is gonna break our layout. Because, well, it's not gonna break our layout. This is how the native behavior of a p tag and a span works. There are inline elements, and if you put a span inside of a p, it's not gonna go under it. It's just gonna be inside of it on the same line. but we don't want that. We want to make it a block element. So what we're going to be doing is that in our stats global span, we're going to write display block. And what it's going to do is it's going to take this span and it's going to put it under. It's going to make it a block element. It's not going to be inline anymore like the paragraph. And then it's going to also apply the padding top to the p tag. There we go. But now I think our padding is too big. Still too big. We do 0.5. Yeah, this one's better, right? Yeah, I think this one. Maybe even a little bit better, bigger, but I'm good with that. Cool. So then, what else do we want to do? We wanted to put the map. The map needs to be a little bit bigger, but I think that our proportion of the map is a little bit different than what the illustration has. What do you think? Because this one is a little bit more condensed. Like it doesn't have all those islands that we have here. These ones. Although New Zealand looks a little bit small here. I think it's a little bit bigger. But okay. Well, fine. We're gonna work with this map because this map is from Wikipedia and Wikipedia knows more where everything is. What time is it? Still drinking coffee. Maybe not the best idea. How are things going? Whoever's watching, let me know. What do you want to do next? Or do you want to have a break? So I think like this is too big. Why does it have this big 500? I'm not sure. I didn't define the height of it, did I? I have columns, I have... Oh well, I don't know. So let me close the inspector and show how it looks like now. It looks really nice, isn't it? We're missing like the dots. We could do the dots if you want. Like they're not going to be reactive or you cannot click on them or anything, but we could at least work with that. Let's do that. And after that, maybe we're going to call it a day. Because we have been together already for 2 hours and maybe you have other plans on this lovely Friday or maybe not, like me. So what do we want to do? The dots. Okay. Let's see if they work. So first, let's create a dot in general. And it's going to be a div because we like divs. Why am I creating a div in styles? I need to create it here. So let's put it in here. Dot. And we're gonna do like 6 of them. How many of them do they have? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's start with 6. Save it. And here we're gonna do dot. Super funny. Border radius is gonna be 50% because it's gonna be a circle. I have a background color of, let's do our accent color main. And wait a second, we also need to define, what am I doing? Yeah, I also need to define a height of 1 rem. That might be too big. And a width of 1 rem as well. Yeah, that's too big. Let's do 0.5. Yeah, I think that's fine. Maybe 25, even smaller. You see the red dots? You know why I make them so small? Because I also want to give them like a blur thingy, like they have. I don't know, do you see it? Like, I feel like it's not like just a dot. It looks to me that if it has like a little bit of a blur, shadow, something there. But I still think it's too small. Let's do 35. Yeah, okay. No. Okay, you know what? Let's do 0.5. That's it. I'm gonna stop. Okay. Now, we are going to inspect them. Gonna bring up the inspector a little bit. And I want to select this one. And I want to give it a box shadow of... How do you write a box shadow? So first you define the X, the Y, and then the blur. So the X is going to be 0, the Y is going to be 0, and the blur is going to be 1 rem. You see? It has like a glow. 0.5 rem, and it's going to be also var. Yeah. I mean, is it super visible? No. Is it better than nothing? Probably. What if we do 1? Wait, is there another value? 1 rem? Yes. Okay. Wait, what is this one responsible for? Oh, okay, so this is the blur. And this is the size of it. Yeah. Yeah, this I like. Okay. Now you can see how I code at work. So happy to be working from home, seriously. Nobody needs to see this, except for you. At least I'm entertaining myself, right? So we got the box shadow, which is 0, 0, 0.5 rem, 0.15 rem, and then the var accent color main. You can choose any other color, but just maybe combine it, or like maybe make a selection. What am I saying? Whenever you choose the color, just be sure that your background color and the box shadow is the same color if you want to achieve this effect, but you don't have to. And now let's start positioning this beauty. So how are we gonna do that? Remember our children thing? Can we do? Yeah, we can do. So dot, that was also me talking to myself. Dot nth child, and you define which child, and gonna have a position relative, and top is gonna be 0, and right is gonna be 0. So what I'm doing now is I want to take one dot, so specifically the first dot, and I want to put it excuse me, I want to put the dot not wherever it lands in our tree, so in the DOM, in our HTML, but I want to put it in another place. And in order to do that, I need to use position relative. No, position absolute. Absolute. And in order for this to work, well, this is gonna work. But you're gonna find this dot. I'm not gonna find this dot anywhere. Wait, why? Dot. It's not how it works. What if I do first child? No, but okay, that's not. I know why. It's because we need to have first a div of dots, because I said child, and if I'm targeting the dot, then it's not the child. You know what I mean? So this is going to have a class of dot. And then here, dot. Why are you embarrassing me? So this nth child doesn't even work. Dot, dot, dot. I was like, welcome to my guessing game. Yes, now it worked. Okay. So a little bit of a hiccup with how things work, but we managed. So dot, 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 and child 1. Yes, that was CSS. That was not like a code for something. And you see where is our dot? Here's like on the top right corner. Because when we define position absolute, it goes to the first relative position that it finds, which we didn't define anywhere. We don't have any element here that we set position relative. And our window, is it our window or is it our body? Maybe our body, I don't know. So one of the generic elements, they have a position relative, but we don't want that. We want our map to have a position relative. Which also we probably should put the dots inside of the stats map. Like this. Yeah. So one dot is still up there. So let's do the stats map. Let's declare that it's a position relative. And now it should go in here, our one dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's our dot? Hello? Hello, miss. Where are you? Is it you? Oh yeah, it is her. Okay. Let's maybe define like, yeah. You see, it's traveling. It's traveling. Let's travel maybe to the farthest continent, or since it's quite far, we can do left 0. So it's gonna go from there. And in our case, yeah, it's gonna be the div. So what I'm thinking now is that once we're gonna be resizing the page, it's gonna be a little bit off because, yeah, it's not gonna be nice. So look, if I give it like 200 pixels and then I start resizing it, then you see the dot moves as well, because the container of the relative is this whole div, but I want the map to be relative. And we cannot put the dots inside of the map, but we could create another div. Scandalous. Save it. And now it's gonna break things, but that's okay. That's okay. Because, so here we have the stats map. You see, it was a direct child image. It's not a direct child anymore. If we save it, it's gonna go small again. That's good. And then stats map. Yeah. So our grid is a little bit messed up, and we need to move all of this into here and define first div. Yep, cool. So now we're back to the same place where we were before. Although honestly, maybe I would give it just like a 90. Oh no, so our max width also needs to apply now here and not on the image. Well, maybe not. 90? Yeah, okay, that's not bad. So, yeah, that's okay. Maybe a little bit more of a margin here. Should we? What was the margin? It was Stats regional, right? Stats region, where are you? There you are. Margin bottom, there we go. Maybe one rem. Yeah. Okay. So now what I want to do, or what I need to do, is to move the dots. So let's try it again and see if we have improved our situation. Let's do it in the inspector here. So the dots, and then, yeah, this one has a position relative, and you see the blue stuff. That's the border, and that's the content of that div. So it's not going to be like overflowing to the purple part. So it should help us. So let's do left, and let's do 10 pixels. What? Why are you going there? It didn't solve anything. Really? I expected it to be much more strict with that. So that's the image. Can I do the image position relative? I cannot, right? Yeah, it's not gonna work because the element is not a side of it. Huh. Well, you know what? I'm gonna still show you how to do this, and it's gonna be up to you if you want to go with that, or if you would prefer to already have an asset that has those dots in them. Because as we said, there's not going to be a JavaScript here, it's just going to be a displaying thing. So maybe that's your jam. Regardless, I'm going to show you how to work with those positions thingies. So we got the dot thingy. Where are we going to put it? So kind of like at least each in every continent. So let's start with these ones here. Let's take this one, and we're gonna go left, do 100 pixels, a little bit more, like 145, and then the top is gonna be 100 pixels. No, let's do 75. Yep. So copy this. Our top for our first dot is going to be 75 pixels, and our left is going to be 45 pixels. And then what you do is you basically go for child number 2, and you're going to do the same thing. Like if I'm going to change it a little bit, I think it's going to be like 275. Save it, refresh. Yeah, a little bit too much. 175. Refresh. And let's go here. These things I prefer to do in the inspector because it makes so much more sense. 200. Let's go. Let's move it to Brazil a little bit. Somewhere here, right? That's Brazil. Yep. And the same goes. However, you know what I told you about that they are gonna move? Like if we're gonna increase it, you see it moves with them. And that's not good. That's not good at all. But maybe I have an idea. Wait a second. Because like the mobile is an issue by itself, but if we could at least make it not broken, ugly, or unaligned, misaligned, like, or broken, then let's maybe do it at least for the desktop. Bye Satish, thank you for joining. So let's make, we cannot make the body small, but what we could make, or can we? We don't need to make it small. We can do a max width of, let's say, 1,000 pixels. What are we gonna have here? Yeah, you see? So now it's not gonna be, should not be moving as much. And then we have margin 2, and then we have auto, which is gonna center the whole thing up. Oops. Yep. So that's like a not a too bad solution, but like this thing, like the map thing, you should still, or we should still work it out later on. Another solution might be that on mobile, imagine on mobile you have the whole map. It's probably something that you're gonna, maybe you would want to actually remove, because I cannot imagine a person on the phone, like on their mobile device, which is not an iPad or a tablet, it's just a real mobile device, going and actually like, so like the touch point of the finger is bigger than our dot. You know, so like, and the map is going to be like this width, and you have like 12 dots there. Like on mobile, I would probably just show global stats and like the total stuff without like the regional ones. Or maybe like you can create a drop down that is going to be doing that, or something of that kind. But I would assume that the map is not going to be visible on mobile. Tablet, sure. Mobile, questionable. But let's continue putting the dots so we can wrap up this part. Let's bring back the inspector because it's nicer to do here. So this one is a little bit off of what, I don't know. This is just imaginary places. I have no idea about the states of the United States. I mean, I know the coasts, I guess, but that's it. Then I wanted this one to put in Brazil, because I think that was what it was referring to in the mockup. Let's do 215, and then this one is 240. Yeah. So 85, 150, and then 215, 240. And let's put maybe Africa, Europe, Asia, and Oceania, Australia, basically. Which is not the whole thing, but you know what I mean. And child 3, let's put in Africa. So the left is going to be a little bit bigger. Could also do it percentages, but I guess like for these dots, it makes sense to do pixels. Although I don't know what makes sense anymore. What is that? Libya? There we go. And let's put one in Europe. Put it next to me. Where am I? Probably somewhere here. Berlin. Yep, save it. And we have 2 more. So 5 and 6. This is like a huge one. You know what it reminds me? I don't know if you've seen these commercials. I remember when I was a kid, there was like this commercial for Nurofen. I think that's the brand. basically this this brand that it's creating, like that has pills against headaches or just like pains, and they would like show the pain points with this kind of like red stuff, red dots. But yeah, we're gonna move it. Somewhere here. Do we want to go to China maybe? Oh, right. Since it's like so close already to the right part, then I would put like, I would count from the right side rather than the left side. This is probably Mongolia, right? Like here somewhere. Sorry if that's like not geographically 100% correct, but it's CSS geography. CSS geography is not set in stone geography. So here again, right is gonna be like 200 pixels, or even too much. We're aiming for Australia now. And the top, which is probably we should go for bottom. Yeah, see how fast that was and easy. 130. Yeah. Yay! Nice. Nice, nice. Maybe the Berlin is a little bit too high, but that's okay. Hi, tech dude. Okay. So I think we're actually gonna wrap up for today because we have been together for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I think that's enough. What did we do today? We gave this page a max width. We aligned it in the center. We built the whole global stats thing with this information, these ones, the map with the dots, and these ones. This is all grid, which is like, whew, we did it. And then I'm still not sure how we're gonna tackle this once we have a tablet view, but I'll figure it out later on. And next time we are going to create this part here. Let me show you the precautions. And I have all the SVGs needed. I'm gonna push it to the assets, so you're gonna have it prepared as well. And so we can code together as usual. And probably we're gonna start also doing responsive next time, because I think this part is not gonna take us much, since we are already like CSS Grid pros after our global stats thing, and it should go a little bit faster. But that's probably something that everybody says, because and then life happens and coding happens and nothing goes fast. So yeah, we will see how it goes, but I would aim for doing the precautions as well. Yeah, I think that's all for now. As always, if you did do this, or you want to show me how you did it, or tell me something, or comment, or suggest something that you didn't have time for during this live stream, then please let me know on Instagram. I think my handle is on the screen. It's DanaScript there as well. And yeah, I'm always happy to hear from you. And I also I'm still figuring out the schedule of how to stream, when to stream, how long to stream. So also please feel free to let me know if those streams are too long or too early, or whatever opinion you have. But keep it constructive. And yeah, we're probably gonna be back on stream. I mean me and you. maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. I have my second vaccine, so I'm not sure how bad it's gonna affect me, how it's gonna knock me down. So, but I do expect it to knock me down for at least a couple of days, and that's why I wanted to do the stream today. And I cannot promise you that it's gonna be on Monday, but if it's not Monday, then it's for sure Tuesday, and probably around the same time. So, as always, let me know what you think, any suggestions, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and that I didn't brag on too long, or not brag, drag too much of, I don't know, information or chit-chatting or whatever. I'm trying to kind of mix them all and make it as interactive as possible, and I hope you learn stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna wish you a good day, evening, night, wherever you are. Stay safe, as they say, and see you next time. Bye!